So it's going to be interesting to see how Sean Spicer and the press get along. And I like I say, I'm glad to see Donald Trump taking the press on head on. And sometimes, folks, we lose sight of just how blatantly over the top biased the media has become in their reporting. But let me share with you something that Newsbusters with Media Research Center put together in a piece that they wrote. I mean, just listen to the way that the media reported the inauguration of Barack Obama back in 2009 in such glowing positive terms, and then compare that to the constant sniping and attacking and criticism that they've done of Donald Trump from his inauguration and his first few days in office. And this is the point that Sean Spicer was making yesterday to the press in the room, and it's a good point. He says, look, I'm not saying you can't say bad things about the president. I'm not saying you can't criticize where you think he's wrong. But does everything have to be a criticism? Does he do nothing right? And that's a good point that he made as he kind of lectured the media. Because when it comes to reporting on Barack Obama, everything is through the lens of positivity. But when reporting on Donald Trump, everything is through the lens of negativity. I just want to read you just a little bit from 2009. Okay, here's how the inauguration of Barack Obama was reported in 2009. CBS, quote, and by the way, as I read these, try to picture any of these networks reporting this way about Donald Trump's inauguration. This was Barack Obama's in 2009. Quote, a new day, this is CBS, a new day is dawning in the nation's capital. The inauguration of Barack Obama as the 44th president of the United States. Does it get any better or more beautiful or more spectacular than this? CBS. How about ABC? Quote, we know that wind can make a cold day feel colder, but can national pride make a freezing day feel warmer? It seems to be the case because regardless of the final crowd number estimates, never have so many people shivered for so long with such joy. From above, even the seagulls must have been awed by the blanket of humanity. Folks, I'm not making these up. I'm reading actual quotes to you from CBS, from ABC in their reporting of Barack Obama's inauguration. NBC, quote, what a day it was. It may take days or years to really absorb the significance of what happened in America today. When he, Barack Obama, finally emerged, he seemed, even in his throngs, so solitary, somber, perhaps already feeling the weight of the world, even before he was transformed into the leader of the free world. The mass flickering of cell phone cameras on the mall seemed like stars shining back at him. Am I the only one throwing up in my mouth right now, folks? This is how the media reported Barack Obama's inauguration. Try to picture them reporting anything even remotely close to this as it relates to Donald Trump. ABC that night reported, quote, America the Beautiful. The nation and the world paused to witness an extraordinary milestone as nearly 2 million people came together to hail the new chief and celebrate an era of change. CBS the next day, quote, politics and patriotism and the presidency. It is a place where the secular and the religious merge, and one of the sacraments of our national religion is the inauguration. So it was as many as 2 million pilgrims made their way to Washington and the Mall to witness the most sacred event. NBC the day after the inauguration, quote, in the end, it really didn't matter where you were as long as you weren't alone. Just ordinary street corners like this one here in Chicago fell silent, almost becoming a political cathedral of sorts, and almost everyone was making the mental scrapbook noting the time and place where they were on this day and perhaps shared a collective tear. Okay, I could go on and on, but I'm on the verge of dry heaving in my mouth, and so okay, that's how the press treated Barack Obama back then. Compare that now to pretty much everything that they're reporting about Donald Trump is through the lens of criticism. What can we criticize him for? What can we nitpick him for? Donald Trump, when he had the inaugural the inaugural church service. Before the inauguration, Donald Trump went to church before the inauguration started. Okay, and there are several people that spoke at the Friday morning service for Donald Trump. Liberty University President Jerry Falwell Jr., Focus on the Family founder James Dobson, James Robison, and others. These are the people that Donald Trump wanted to preach. But one of them also was Pastor Robert Jeffress. Pastor Robert Jeffress, a well-known, good, strong, conservative, born-again, evangelical Christian pastor. He is pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, one of the largest Baptist churches in America. He's Rick Perry's pastor. We've had Robert Jeffress on the show many times over the years. But the media doesn't like Robert Jeffress. You know why? Because Jeffress has been willing to say salvation is only through Jesus Christ. Mormonism, Hinduism, Buddhism, any other religions, these are false religions because the truth is only found in Jesus Christ. In 2012, there was controversy involving Robert Jeffress. You know why? Because a reporter asked him about Mitt Romney's Mormonism. Now, Jeffress didn't bring up Mormonism. A reporter asked him, "Do you consider Mormonism a cult?" And that's when Robert Jeffress correctly said, well, yes, to answer your question, I do consider Mormonism a cult, because then the media, he calls Mormonism a cult, and whatever, that got turned into that. So Robert Jeffress, who's good friends with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump invited him to be one of the people that preached to him. Here was the CNN headline about the beautiful inaugural prayer service before the inauguration. Here was their headline, quote, "Inflammatory pastor scheduled to preach to Trump before inauguration." And then CNN starts out the story. "A pastor with a long history of inflammatory remarks about Muslims, Mormons, Catholics, and gays is scheduled to preach at a private service for President-elect Trump and his family on Friday, shortly before Trump takes the oath of office. Trump said about Jeffress, quote, 'I love this guy.'" And then they go on. Say, "Jeffress leads a 12,000-member megachurch in Dallas and is a frequent guest on Fox News, but to many Americans, he may be best known for his frequent condemnations of Mormonism as a cult during the 2012 presidential campaign." Now, and then he goes, "In recent years, Jeffress has frequently denounced Islam. The pastor also said that Mormons, Muslims, Hindus, quote, 'worship a false god,' end quote." Think about stuff like this, folks. Did CNN make any kind of issue of Jeremiah Wright, who would preach GD America? And Barack Obama was in that church for 20 years. But no, what they're going to do is snipe and smear and do everything they can to attack and delegitimize Donald Trump. And now going after Robert Jeffress. Well, look what a horrible guy this Robert Jeffress is. I want to remind everybody, okay? Robert Jeffress, when he's accused of frequently denouncing Mormonism as a cult, Robert Jeffress, and I've had Pastor Jeffress on the show many times, never does Robert Jeffress bring up Mormonism. Never does he bring up these. Reporters ask him, "Is Mormonism a cult?" Well, he's a pastor and a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. He's going to answer truthfully. Well, yes, if you ask me, then I'll answer you honestly. Yes, it is a cult because of the theological doctrines and how off they are as far as who Jesus is and that type of thing. But then he gets reported as somebody who, is such an evil, mean-spirited person. So this is the kind of stuff you got to look out for, folks, when it comes to the press and their reporting. It is extremely dishonest, and it's this simple. Everything they report about Donald Trump will be through the negativity lens to find somehow, some way to make it look as bad as possible. There's only one way that Donald Trump could keep from being reported negatively in the media, and that's to never do anything wrong. Well, we know that's not realistic. Outside of Jesus Christ, no one is perfect. Donald Trump is going to make mistakes. He's going to do things we disagree with. He's going to give ammunition to the media. But every president does. Barack Obama gave countless ammunition to the media. But the media never seized on it. They didn't play on it. They didn't report the negative things that President Obama would do because they reported him through the positive lens. So it's unfortunate that the press is this dishonest, but they are. All right, we're going to continue through the news hour a couple minutes from now here on the Bob Duco Show.